Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to talk about actually producing an AVI movie. Now there is one thing I want you to understand is that the AVI is different from a scene file. The scene file has all of this wireframe stuff and has all of this special calculations which allows truespace to actually read it and then you can manipulate it. When you make a movie file, you cannot change it. Okay, like you guys can't go to Avatar, reach up into the screen and move things around. That's not a possibility. It's designed, it's static. Once it's done, it's done. All right. So you will not be able to. The only way to fix a movie file if it turns out not the way you like is you're going to have to redo the animation. All right. Now, what we're doing here is essentially the same as creating a little flip book. Now, I think I mentioned this the other day in class, is that, when you're in grammar school and you get bored, you write on the little pages and you draw little pictures of the guys in the little book, and each page has a slightly different movement so that when you flip the pages, the little stick figure is moving around, jumping up and down, doing something. All right. Well, that's what this does, except this doesn't use, you don't have to draw each individual picture. What you're going to do is going to create a series of keyframes. Now, if you notice, I got my four-way view, which always makes it easy to move things. I've converted the things into wireframe, which I believe makes it easy to actually see what it is you're looking at. And I've got the camera in, and the camera, as you can see, is actually already looking at. Okay, I used the look at tool. I had the camera selected. I clicked on the look at tool, which was right here, and I clicked on the name. All right, so now we're going to start a movie. Now, right now, this is frame 0. There is one other thing I want to show you. You see how it's in wireframe? What the movie is actually going to look like is this. You have to render the scene to see what the movie is going to look like. And you notice that it's my name from behind, and it's actually the texture that I wrapped around it was a dark wood texture. Probably actually not the best situation in terms of lighting, but you'll get the sense when we do it. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, I want to create a keyframe. And since we rendered this as 30 frames a second, I'm going to have 30 individual pictures between this position and the next position. So I type in the word 30, hit record, and I'm going to move my camera to where I want it to be. Whoops, I apparently did not put the look at thing in. How silly of me. There, and I'm going to have it move over here. All right, and as you notice when I hit play, enter, all right, I just screwed that up. Good job. All right. So, and folks, and again, I repeat, part of the reason I leave some of these mistakes in is so that you guys can see that, yeah, I learned this all by trial and error, just like you guys do as well. So, I mean, when things don't work out the first time, that's great. I expect you to struggle and figure out how to make it work correctly on your own. Okay, so I'm going to go 30, and I think I know what the mistake was. I type in the number, I hit enter. You're supposed to hit this red record button, and then I'm going to move this here. And what should happen is the camera, if you can see this, the camera is flying from one point to the other. Now you notice it's only acting in the top view. All right, you see it's moving in the top view, but this scene over here, over in the corner, isn't changing, over here. The reason that is that this view, you need the camera, you need the word, you need the view to be active. All right, now I've clicked on the second one on the top, the right-hand side of the top, and watch. Now you see what the camera's actually seeing. All right. So I'm going to go to, now, one of the things you also need to know, when you put in a keyframe, all it records is that frame, okay? It started off, if you go back to 0, the camera's here. You go to the next keyframe, which is 30, the camera's there. It doesn't matter what you do, it's going to go straight from one point to the other. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now. You go to 60, hit record, hit enter, and I'm going to move the whoops, stupid. I had the wrong thing active. I had the name active on the side of the camera. 60, record. Now I'm going to move the camera around like this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and I'm going to move it to finally wind up going here. Now I want you to think for a minute. We're going to do the Dora Explorer thing. What do you think is going to happen? All right, and after you take a look at it, all of that path stuff, well, just watch what happens. All right, boom. And it goes to that frame. Now, the reason it didn't record all that stuff, the only thing that's actually recorded is where I said I wanted it to end up. I actually, at frame 30, it was here. At frame 60, it's here. And what's going to happen, the camera will just draw and move, the computer will move the camera from one point to the other in the most efficient way. All right, and then the same thing, I'm going to go to frame 90, and I'm getting a little short on time, so I'm just going to move it straight to where I want it. I want to be able to read my name over here, and record, enter, and then I think that should just play, boom, and it kind of moves over slowly. And if you have this screen active, it's going to go boom. And it stops with my name being able to be read. All right, so I've made my little movie. Now, very important thing in order to render this. I've already put my background in, and it's very, very important to always put your background in frame 0. If you put it in frame 90 in this case, okay, what's going to happen is it's going to go with the gray background all the way up to the last frame, and this is going to say, oh, you want to change to a new background. All right, so if you want to have this, I do want you to have consistent backgrounds, do it this way. All right, so now what we're going to do, this render button down here, we're going to go to render scene to file, and it's going to come up with this little tool, and I'm going to render it right. Actually, I'm going to put it on my desktop because I want to be able to find it quickly. You guys will have to put in your H drive. Now, I'm going to type my name in here first, which is going to be name or lesson 1, and then I'm going to say save as type AVI. Targets are pictures. If I'm not careful, what I'll wind up doing is I'll save a whole bunch of picture files. And then where it says width and height, I believe width are going to be other 640 by 480. That's purely a sufficient size image. And then I'm going to go, see, now this is odd. This is saying it's only got 60 frames. It should have 90 frames. That's what I thought I did. So I'm going to go 0 to 90 and see what happens. All right, and then I'm going to hit render, and it's going to start thinking about it. And it doesn't like something that I did. What normally would happen is it should put up is what sort of compression do you want to use here. All right, and so that's what we're going to do. I think part of, actually, there we go. Do you want compression? Send it back and say, okay. I think actually the reason this is working slowly on my computer is that my computer probably doesn't have the capacity to run both Snagit and the video at the same time. Now, if you do this and you notice that the movie only changes once, what that means, it only renders one frame, it means that you left the button on current frame only. If you look over here where it's rendering, you're going to notice, if you look very carefully, you'll notice the name moving very slowly. Now, this typically takes several minutes, so I'm going to pause, and we're going to wait till the movie finishes rendering so that I'll be back after the movie finishes rendering. Okay, now it's finishing rendering and the little thing stopped rendering. Now I go to my desktop and I'm going to open up the movie, and it should pop open like this. I'm going to have to actually drag it into the Snagit view when it opens. All right, but one of the things that you're going to notice is that the movie then plays as an AVI. All right, and I got to minimize the screen so you guys can see it. It's going to take a couple seconds for me to do this. So it's a little blurry, but you basically should have been able to see that move. Let's go. I'm going to hit play, and boom, you can see the camera plays again. All right, I suspect that the reason this isn't playing very well is because of the quality of my video card. Yours should play a little bit better. Okay, so that's basically the way you make a movie. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to upload it to a YouTube station.